May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable before you, God, my strength and my Redeemer. Where the stakes are the highest, and where the darkness is most impenetrable, there lies the potential for the most explosive, revolutionary spiritual growth. Teshuvah is not code for feeling guilty or beating ourselves up. Teshuvah is the radical, terrifying, warrior-like courage to shatter your own ego. It is the willingness to look at the mirror, look at your family, look at your community and say, I am done hiding. I am done being right. I am done letting my past traumas dictate my present behavior. I am done playing the helpless victim. The ultimate promise of Tisha B'Av is that Mashiach, the absolute blueprint of our redemption, is born on the very afternoon that the temple mourns. The redemption does not come after the heartbreak. It is forged inside the heartbreak. This year, let us stop waiting for the other person to magically wake up from their rut. Let us stop wasting our finite energy trying to force open doors that are locked from the inside instead. Let us grow a real spiritual spine. Let us master our own impulses. Stop demanding validation from a broken world and channel our internal fire into becoming unshakable anchors of stability, holiness, and unconditional light for our children and our communities. When we have the courage to drop our own defenses, conquer our own desires, and step out of our personal caves, we shatter the spiritual reality of exile, and we finally build a vessel sturdy enough to hold the ultimate light of the third Beis HaMikdash. The anatomy of exile, the courage to step out of the cave, also known as how our trials and our desires are the catalyst to our highest growth and redemption. Every year, as the heavy air of the 9 days settles upon us, the Jewish world enters a collective state of mourning. We restrict our physical comforts. We alter our daily routines. We sit on the low stools of the floor. And we lament a tragedy that occurred thousands of years ago. The destruction of the Beit HaMikdash, the Holy Temple. But if we are ruthlessly honest with ourselves, it is incredibly easy for this mourning to become a comfortable, predictable ritual. We read the dirges of the keynote, these liturgical poems of lament. We feel a generic historical sadness, and then the sun sets. The fast ends, and we go right back to our lives. But Chazal, our sages, shake us out of this complacency with a deeply disruptive, terrifying statement. Every generation in which the temple is not rebuilt, it is as if it was destroyed in our days. This means the Churban, the destruction, is not a historical event frozen in time. It is an ongoing active condition. It is happening right now. And if we look beneath the surface of our communal and personal lives, we discover that the root cause of this ongoing exile is not a political problem, nor is it merely a lack of religious observance. It is something far more intimate, far more painful. It is a profound systematic crisis of human vulnerability and internal shame. To understand how we got here, we have to look back at the very anatomy of the Jewish people. God took us out of Egypt with a display of raw cosmic power. He split the sea. He rained down manna. He stood on a flaming mountain and spoke directly to our souls. Today's Torah portion, we learn we heard two words at once. God told us to keep Shabbat and guard it and observe it and remember it in one word. Completely phenomenal. He poured infinite love, absolute perfection, and a terrifying level of spiritual intimacy into us. And how do we respond? We doubted. We complained. I panicked. We panicked. The moment Moses stayed on the mountain for a few hours too long, we became what Hashem called Am Kashe Aref, a stiff-necked people. Why? Because receiving real, unconditional love is the most terrifying thing a human being can experience. True intimacy acts as a mirror. It forces us to look at our rawest selves, acknowledge our deep-seated flaws, drop our armor and say, I am exposed. When the light of God shine too brightly into our souls, our collective ego panicked. We cannot handle the vulnerability of being completely known and entirely responsible. So we thrashed around, blamed our leaders, and retreated into rigid, stubborn coping mechanisms. We chose the familiar safety of our own rebellion over the terrifying demands of raw connection. And then came the definitive turning point in our history, the Son of the Spies, which occurred on the very night that would become Tisha B'Av. 10 leaders went into the land of Israel and returned with a report born out of pure psychological terror. They looked at the giants and the fortified walls, and they explicitly said, we cannot go up. We were like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and so we were in their eyes. Notice the sequence of their words. Before anyone else rejected them, they had already rejected themselves. They were plagued by a deep, agonizing sense of inadequacy. They felt like outsiders. The public rejection they feared from the nations was just a reflection of the internal shame they carried inside. And how did the nation react that night? They cried baseless tears. They locked the doors of their tents. Out of a catastrophic fear of failure, out of a total collapse of their identity, they stopped trying. They withdrew from the covenant. They went on a spiritual strike against the very mission God had carved out for them. They decided it was safer to die in the wilderness as victims than to fight for their destiny as heroes. This is the exact unyielding blueprint of exile, both the national exile of the Jewish people and the quiet, agonizing personal exiles we live through inside our own homes, marriages, and friendships today. When a human soul experiences a profound crisis, a catastrophic life shift, or a public humiliation that shatters their identity, the internal pain is too immense for the ego to tolerate. To protect itself from the crushing weight of shame, the mind does something highly survivalist, but deeply toxic. It builds a psychological cave. The person crawls inside, pulls down the iron shutters, and locks the door from the inside. Inside that dark cave of bitterness, silent withdrawal, and professional victimhood, they find a twisted sense of safety. In the dark, nothing is their fault. In the dark, the world is just cruel. The community is unfair. The institutions are broken, and they are completely blameless. From this place of deep, frozen isolation, they withdraw from the spiritual structures of life. They stop keeping the mitzvah that require connection. They halt their personal growth. And we completely cut off emotional and physical attributes and aspects of our relationships. We punish the people who love them most with a heavy, ambient, suffocating silence, using their own suffering as a weapon to control the environment around them. And there we stand outside the cave, holding a flashlight. We extend a hand. We offer safety. We buy gifts. We try to be patient, and we say, please, come out, grab my hand. Let me guide you out of this. I'm here for you. Hand and knee. But we fail to realize that to a soul drowning in deep-seated shame, our flashlight does not look like a rescue beacon. It looks like a searchlight. It looks like an interrogation. To step out into the light and grab our hand means they have to look at the wreckage of what they've done. It means they have to face the terrifying reality of their own vulnerability. And so, the more we try to nice guy our way into fixing them, the deeper and more rigidly they retreat into the dark. We look at the people locked in these ruts, whether it is a spouse, ourselves, a parent, a child, or a friend. We feel a soul-crushing despair. We ask ourselves, are we ever going to wake up? Are we destined to spend our entire life pouring our hearts and energies and soul into a bottomless pit where we'll never be valued, never be seen, and never loved back? And in that exact heartbreaking moment of absolute isolation, the veil drops. We are given a window into the mind of the Rabbanu Shel Olam, the Most High God. God has been standing outside the cave of the Jewish people for 2,000 years. During this long, bitter night of Hester Panim, this systematic hiding of the divine face, God has been shining a bright flashlight into our exile. He watches us misuse the gifts he's given us. He watches us ignore while he gives us constant and daily bids for connection. He watches us punish one another with baseless hatred and cold indifference. He watches us act like a stiff-necked people who demand open miracles from heaven but refuse to do the heavy lifting of changing our own character, Tikkun HaMidot. God pours infinite energy, infinite light, and infinite tolerance into us, yet we remain distant, hiding inside our rigid habits, terrified to drop our pride and make a true return. If the master of the universe can have the infinite, agonizing patience to stand outside of our cave, holding the light, refusing to abandon us even when we give him absolutely nothing in return, and who are we to walk away from the people in our lives who are drowning in the dark? The stakes in this specific generation cannot be higher. The risk to our homes, our mental health, our marriages, and the emotional safety of our children are catastrophic. We are opening and operating in a world where the air is heavy with anxiety and disconnection, but Jewish law and Jewish mysticism teach us a profound paradox. Precisely where the stakes are the highest and where the darkness is most impenetrable, there lies the potential for the most explosive, revolutionary spiritual growth. Teshuvah is not a word for feeling guilty or beating ourselves up. Teshuvah is the radical, terrifying, warrior-like courage to shatter your own ego. It is the willingness to look at the mirror, look at your family, look at your community and say, I am done hiding. I am done being right. I am done letting my past traumas dictate my present behavior. I am done playing the helpless victim. The ultimate promise of Tisha B'Av is that the Mashiach, the absolute blueprint of our redemption, is born on the very afternoon that the temple burns. The redemption does not come after the heartbreak. It's forged inside the heartbreak. This year, let us stop waiting for the other person to magically wake up from their rut. Let us stop wasting our finite energy trying to force open doors that are locked from the inside. Instead, let us grow a real spiritual spine. Let us master our own impulses and stop demanding validation from a broken world and channel our internal fire into becoming unshakable anchors of stability, holiness, and unconditional lights for our children, our families, our friends, our communities, and for the Most High God. When we have the courage to drop our own defenses and we conquer our own desires and step out of our personal caves, we shatter the spiritual reality of exile. And we finally build a vessel sturdy enough to hold the ultimate light of the third Beis HaMikdash speedily in our days. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable before you, God, my strength and my Redeemer. May all of you have a easy fast and be having an easy fast. And we know that sometimes things aren't easy. It's called avodah, which is work. And we know that when there's work, it's just not easy sometimes. But may God remove every hindrance from your path and make it as simple as it possibly can be. And may these trials and these things that we go through be a catalyst for the true redemption. God be with you and make his face shine upon you. We value your time. God be with you.